Hi guys, I'm sorting my chipboard today and I'm sorting it by colors. So I have all these drawers that go in this little drawer unit here. It's just one of these very inexpensive plastic drawer units that you can get at Walmart or wherever you get your stuff. And I had a ton of chipboard. Let me just show you how much chipboard I had. Look at all that. So I have been sorting it and I've only got 6 drawers to use, so I'm starting to believe that this system isn't going to work. I have an overflowing amount of reds and pinks in this drawer right here. I have blues and turquoises and purpley blues in here. I have oranges and yellows in here. I have greens in here, multicolored in here, and then all of my neutrals are in here. And the reason I've decided to sort my chipboard is that I have been storing my die cuts sorted by color in these little cases, which you can get at, these are iris cases that you can get at Michael's and maybe other places, but I find them at Michael's. And I have been finding that I use my die cut pieces a lot more since I've sorted them by color. I just put a little swatch with a Sharpie marker on the top of it, and then I just store them like this in a drawer. I can actually show you the drawer so that you have a sense of how it works for me. So that's what the drawer looks like. And as you can see, not everything gets sorted right away. So some collections I keep separate, either really distinct ones that I plan to keep separate all the time. Like I've got Cute Girl here, for example. It has a really distinct look to it. And then these are Vicky Bouton die cuts, and they have a really distinct look too. And then others, and these Amy Tangerine ones, I keep separate because they're really distinct. Others I just haven't sorted yet. So some of these I do plan to sort, I just haven't done it. So this is my drawer of die cuts, and I thought I could come up with a system really similar for my chipboard because I have been storing my chipboard on their sheets. I have 12 by 12 sheets, and I also have 6 by 12 sheets. And I just want to show you what I have done. I'm really proud of myself here because all of this packaging right here, I have several 12 by 12 sheets, several packages of thickers that I took apart. Right there, I just left the ones I was pretty sure I wouldn't use. More 12 by 12 sheets, more 6 by 12, some old Basic Gray, some old My Mind's Eye. Look at all of this packaging that I basically get to now recycle and get out of my room. Hooray for this big hunk of supplies. There's more on my floor. That's not even all of it. But hooray for getting all of those supplies sorted and organized in a way that I'm much more likely to use them. Because if you follow my channel and have seen me scrapping from my stash, you'll see that when I pull out chipboard, I just grabbed a big bunch of chipboard sheets, some of which were 6 by 12 and some of which were 12 by 12, would put them over here on my workspace, and I'd have to search through each sheet. And as you can see, there's a lot of variety on each sheet, so sometimes things would get like I wouldn't notice things because I was just trying to look at too many things at once. So I decided to start sorting all of my chipboard by the dominant color, and there were a few ways that I did that. What the problem that you run into is that chipboard usually comes with sticky backing on it. So it has an adhesive backing, which makes it really easy to work with, but it makes it difficult to split up your sets and store it by color. So there are a couple of different things that you can do. Sometimes what I did was, especially when I had multiple pieces of chipboard that belong together like this, is I would just cut the backing. And this is the easier for chipboard that doesn't have the chipboard in between pieces. Do you know what I mean? Like when chipboard is just sitting on a piece of adhesive, of kind of waxy paper, and you can just peel it off easily. And there's no chipboard in around the negative spaces. That's really easy. So chipboard thickers come on sheets like this, and a couple of other things come on sheets like that. So this also is a set of thickers that I just kind of cut these because I thought they all worked well together and I'd like to keep them together. So that's one thing that I did. Another thing that I did was for things that kind of went together, these were in these perforated pieces of chipboard. These were from Cosmo Cricut, just all these little polka dots. And I didn't want them to get lost. I wanted to keep them all together because they work well together. And so I just put them in this little tiny Ziploc baggie. And I did that whenever things kind of went together. This is from the same collection. And these are also from the same collection. Here is a phrase that says, "I heart you." And so I didn't want to lose the little letters. And so I just put it in a little baggie. So what do I do to get the stickiness off of them? So there's a couple of different things that you could do. You could stick it to wax paper. I have done that in the past, but the wax paper does get hard to peel off. It tends to shred when you, if you leave it on there for any amount of time. It's fine to put chipboard on wax paper if you're just designing a page and you're going to use it soon, but if you're storing your chipboard on wax paper, you're going to run into difficulties where the wax paper is actually going to peel apart and stay half stuck to the chipboard, which ends up being a bit of a hassle to try to cut it all off and trim it down and stuff so that you can't see any yucky wax paper sticking out. I mean, the other thing that you could do is you could take one of these backing pieces and kind of pull it off. Actually, I have one here that's been pulled off. So you could pull it off and then just stick all of your blue ones, all of your red ones, all of and then just cut around it, and then you'll have them all sorted, and then you could put them into your little trays or baskets or whatever it is that you're using to sort yours. The other thing that you can do is you can actually, let me just pop this out of here, you can actually peel off the adhesive backing piece. So this is sticky. It's a little pair of lips from crepe paper, and it's fairly thick chipboard, as you can see, so I can just actually use my fingernails, and if you didn't have good fingernails, you could use a little X-Acto knife or anything to kind of just peel that. And now these lips are no longer sticky. Well, they're a little bit sticky on this side, so I'll just peel that side off too. There we go. So now I can just pop that into my red and pink container, and I'm ready to go. So that's one way to do it. Then I also pulled out my EK Success powder tool because that's a good way to de-stick stickers. And if I was sorting only a few of these, this is what I would do. So I'm going to zoom in again. Now this tool is for, you can use it for de-sticking stickers, but I think what it is marketed for is for keeping embossing powder from sticking where you don't want it to stick. So before you do an embossing project, you just kind of dust this all over your page, and then you do your stamping with embossing ink and emboss it, and then you emboss it with your heat tool. As you can see, this does a really good job. This is completely smooth, and there's just, it smells like baby powder in there, but it's some type of a talcum powder. It does smell a little bit nice. It's not quite as plain as talcum powder. So that's another option, and I did that for several of these, and then I got to feeling like that was an awful lot of work in terms of, you saw how long it took me to do that one flamingo. So I keep this cornstarch in my scrap room, and I use it for various things. I use it for embossing. Like before I had this, I used to paint this onto it with a paintbrush and then blow it off and then do my embossing. This is just plain cornstarch from the kitchen, and I just keep it in a little Ziploc box here in my scrap room so I don't have to run to the kitchen every time I want to use it. So what I was thinking is that if I had a tray, this is an embossing tray, which is just what I had handy. If I had a tray, let me zoom out a little bit, I could actually dip my chipboard in it, and that would be a lot easier than having to kind of use that tool. So as you can see, that is super easy. It only takes a second to do that piece. You're gonna make a mess if you do it this way, but it's very efficient. So I did it that way for a while too. And then what you'll find if you do it that way enough, your hands will get covered in that cornstarch, and it'll get to the point that you can just rub your hands on it and this one is done. So that's kind of cool. I'll put this with my hearts. Still, I was looking for a way to speed this up. So what I have decided I could do is, this is probably the fastest way to do a lot of chipboard. I peel off the backing, and then you could use a paintbrush for this, but my hands are already dry and dusty and powdery. So I'm just kind of using my fingers to apply the talcum powder. This is actually cornstarch, not talcum powder, to all of these chipboard pieces. And I'm not bothering to do it to the outside, like to the negative space, obviously, because I don't need that to be unsticky, but I just want all of these images to be unsticky. And you'll see, look, they're sticking to my arm over here. You'll see that the more you do it, the more your fingers get kind of coated. And you can actually do quite a lot in a pretty brief amount of time if your pieces aren't popping out like mine are. I'm just rubbing it all over them until they're not sticky anymore. And now these pieces I'm just going to have to do individually. There we go. And there we go. So now all of these are unstickied, so I can now sort them by color. So I'll put pink over there. The frames I'm putting in a different place because I keep my frames separate. And I'm actually keeping these little cast off pieces that they're imperfect frames. They were basically just separating between the other frames that were in frames, but I keep them all. I'll show you where I can put them in a second. This heart, I keep hearts separate, so I'm not sorting my hearts by color, although all these ones are probably pinks because that's the theme of this set. So these are neutral, so black and white and gold. I keep arrows separate as well. So this is X's and O's that kind of go together. So I'm gonna grab myself a little Ziploc baggie and put them all together in this. X's and O's, put them in there. And the neutral one. Here's another heart. A cupcake, but that has pink on it, so we'll go with pink. So let me just get this sheet all sorted out. This is a flower, so it goes someplace separate as well. I'm going to sort these by color because even though they're hearts, they're also another shape. And I'm not being too strict about my rules for how I sort. And basically, oops, I dropped one on the floor. I basically want to increase my chances that I'm going to bump into things that I need when I need them. So I'll just poke all these through. And now, voila, that feels good. I love having these empty sheets of chipboard that are all sorted. And so before I decided to sort my chipboard by colors, I was already sorting certain shapes of chipboard into categories. So I have been keeping my favorite shapes is what's on the drawer that I keep them in. These are little cases that I have of shapes that are very neutral shapes that I could use on pretty much any layout. So they're not themed shapes, they're neutral shapes. And usually if I need a heart, I know, like I kind of think, oh, I need a heart right here. And so I'll go looking for a heart. And so keeping all of my hearts together makes good sense with the way that I scrapbook. It might not make good sense for you, but it's important that you know how you scrap and then store your stuff in a way that complements the way that you scrapbook. So I've been keeping my hearts, my butterflies, my arrows, so let me put these in here, and I also keep my little arrow die cut dies here for making die cut arrows, and this is one as well, just so that everything arrow related is right here. Also stars. I also have a little bucket of wood veneer stars as well, so I know to look in 2 places for stars when I want them. And flowers. So all of these have been stored in a drawer. I'll show you the drawer where I keep these cases. Oops, throwing flowers around. There's one that I just took the backing off of instead of using cornstarch. So what I've been doing with these is I keep them in this drawer right here that says, it says favorite shapes on it. Oops. It says favorite shapes on it, and it looks like this. It has these organizers. Let me zoom out even more. It's the benefit of being in my new room with my camera higher, is I can actually capture more if I wanted to. So it's in this drawer, and I just have these little organizers that come with certain drawers from Michael's when you get them. And so I keep these are stickers of shapes, like sticker sheets of neutral shapes like stars, hearts, butterflies, arrows, triangles, hexagons, those sorts of things that could go on almost any layout as an accent. And then I've been keeping these shape cases right in here. And I just drew the shape. Obviously I'm not a very good artist, but I just drew the shape the best that I could on the cases so that look at that butterfly. It's a pretty mangled butterfly, but that's okay. So therefore, so this way, whenever I'm looking for a certain shape, I know exactly where to find it. So as I was sorting my chipboard, anything that was obviously just these shapes, I tried to sort them into this. I don't mind if a few hearts end up in here or if a few stars end up in there. That's fine. But I want the majority of my hearts, arrows, butterflies, and stars to be here because that's where I'm most likely to look for them when I'm wanting one. So I was thinking, as these little drawers fill up and I'm starting to feel like this case might not meet my needs, I was thinking about switching to keep my chipboard in more of these, kind of like I'm already doing with some of these shapes, but I would have colors in here as well. And I don't know if they would fit. I might have to kind of store them differently. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I would need to have 7 or 8 because 6 isn't doing me here. My red one is overflowing and these are pretty full. I'd like to spread them out a little bit. So I don't know if I could fit 6 more into this, but how many fit in my die cut? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and there's room for more. I could actually, yes, I could fit 8 more into this for sure. I just would have to like get rid of this system that I have going. So that might be what I do. I might try to track down 8 more of these cases and put my chipboard in there instead of in this drawer. But that's what I'm thinking. So I thought I would share this little, I don't know if it's an experiment or an organizational changeover or what, but I thought I'd share it with you guys because I know that I've been mentioning it several times in my past several process videos. I talked about my wanting to change the way that I store my chipboard. So I will check in with you when I have more information about how exactly I'm going to store this in the end. Oh, before I do that though, I should tell you that another thing that I keep separate in one of these cases is words. So I've kind of any words, like I've got the word girl from the Cute Girl collection, and I've got a couple of other words here love your laugh, thumbs up, fantastic. And I'm just going to stick them right in here with some other things like some Heidi swap words and just a variety of different acrylic and wordy things. And I keep those in this drawer, which is where I keep my word stickers. So my word stickers include like large word stickers like these thicker ones, but also small word stickers and little acrylic foam pieces and anything with words on it, like these, for example. I've even got a roll of tape that has words on it. So this just goes right in here. I didn't even bother labeling it because everything in this drawer is words, so I know that that's words. I'm going to just cornstarch the back of these and then sort them, and then I'll come back and let you know what I decided about the storage cases and how I worked that out. Okay, so I'm about to finish up my chipboard storage. I've decided to move them all over into cases. I was able to find enough. I'm trying to not buy anything. So I was able to find enough of these cases. I had 8 of them kicking around, extra ones besides what I've already used elsewhere in my room. So I found 8 of them, and I was able to fit most of my colored chipboard into them, color sorted chipboard, except for the gold and the brown, which I separated out. They were in the same category of neutrals along with the blacks, but I decided to separate out the blacks. Black and white and gray are all together, and then I've got browns and golds in these overflow. Basically, they're in these bags. Next time I go to Michael's, I'll pick up a couple more of these cases so that these can have cases as well. So I've got all of my shapes that were already sorted, and then I've got all of these extra 8 color cases of sorted chipboard. Now I'm going to empty out this drawer and reconfigure it so that all of these cases will fit. So I just wanted to show you how I had this set up. In case you were wondering, I've had a couple of questions from people just over the years. People have asked me, how do you have your drawer set up so that you've got these long dividers? So basically I will take this stuff out so that you can see how I have it set up, but it's really helpful for using these deep, these are the deep 2-drawer let me show you. These are the 2-drawer storage cubes from Michael's. This is one of 2 drawers that would go kind of one on top of another in one of these cubes. And so it's a really great way of storing stickers vertically so that you can kind of leaf through them and see what you have. And so that's how I've been storing these shapes that I use really often. So the way I've had this set up, I'm going to take it apart, but I just wanted to show you before I take it apart because I think it's a really good idea for using one of these drawers for vertical storage. And so I just, whenever I make a Jetmax cube and I don't use the inside components of it, like a lot of times they'll have, you know, little cubes for storing things. So this one, for example, was supposed to, it came with many more, and it was supposed to make all of these little cubbies that you could store markers or paints or I don't know what you would store in it, but it's made for storing something or other. So I just held on to these, and they fit nicely inside of different things, different different components of the cubes. And so I basically wanted to have some running this way, so I just used these 2 to hold the 3 upright. So I put one in here and one in here, and then these little slats just hold these 3 in place so they're not wobbling all over the place. They wobble a little bit, but not too much. And that allowed me to use this as a vertical storage for stickers. That's out now. I'm done with that. I will hold on to these because I do sometimes change my ideas of how I store things, as I am doing right now. So these are parts J and K of something, and they might even be from different units. I'm not even sure. This is going to hold my chipboard and my shapes and hearts. Woohoo! They all fit. That's fantastic. But now there's no place to store my sheets, and there's no way I want to unpackage all of these. So let's see what we can do differently here. Flowers and butterflies will go up here. hearts, arrows, and stars will go down here because I use them more, along with all of the sheets of stickers that are those shapes. Then I have room here for my golds, browns, and numbers. And there we go. Now this drawer is ready to be put back in place. I will just change this from favorite shapes to chipboard, then we're done. Oh, let's not forget our leaves. I keep leaves with flowers because they kind of go together. Usually if I need a leaf, it's because I'm using a flower and vice versa. So, I feel good to have all of that chipboard sorted so that I can start using it a lot more efficiently. Just grab the case, have a look through, and pick the shape that I want. Thanks so much for watching. I hope that you found this helpful. Take care and have a really great scrappy week.